So hello and welcome to another episode. We are getting to drive the Mini Cooper SE today. If you haven't seen it already, make sure you check out the tech-focused review I am linking above, where we dived into all the EV tech related to this car. But now in this video we are taking it for a drive and we'll be discussing things such as the safety features, driving modes and so much more. I'm Luke and welcome to another episode of The Future is Electric. So it's everything you'd expect of a Mini Cooper, less the annoying gasoline-powered engine sound, because it is pretty quiet in here and that's the way I like it. Nice and smooth, the acceleration and torque you would expect from an electric car. Handling, well, they say when you get in a Mini Cooper, it has this almost go-kart-like feel, and you know, for the most part, that's exactly what it feels like. So a bit about those driving modes. So you can toggle them from the switch over here. There are 4 driving modes in total. We have the Green Plus, which is our highest level of eco mode. It does turn off the thermal features such as the air conditioning, etc., to give you the maximum range possible in this car. I don't think many people are going to be using that though. They do have then a second level called the Green mode. Now that's will not turn off the thermal features, but is limiting your power to give you again more range. They then have a mid mode, which I have toggled on right now. This is sort of like the standard mode, right? This is the mode I think most people are going to be using, and this is a nice balance between getting the full functionality of the car in terms of performance, but also getting a good amount of range. And for when you want to have a little bit of fun, of course, there is the sports mode, which is not going to hold back on power, but it is going to decrease your range. But it does give you the acceleration you would expect. And it's quite a bit of acceleration. As we said in the tech-focused review, the underpinnings of this vehicle are from that BMW i3, BMW's first mass-market vehicle. And let me tell you, that car had a pretty decent electric motor in it. Acceleration, which is actually better than, although the BMW i3 is a car that came out a while ago, acceleration is better than a lot of the EVs we're getting today. So this is inheriting that motor, so you know when you put your foot down, she goes. Now let's talk a bit about those safety features. So using the front-facing camera, which is found behind the rear view mirror facing forward, the car is doing a number of things. So it is detecting the distance from the vehicle in front of me, and there is a collision warning detection system, which is tracking the distance to that car in front, and it will give you a warning if it detects that the car in front is braking suddenly, and it will then apply the brakes at full force for around 1.5 seconds. That gives you enough time to react for yourself. Now it's also going to do that with pedestrians. So in city-like environments, like is the case here in Malta, if it detects that a pedestrian has crossed in front of you, it will once again apply those brakes as a safety measure. Besides these 2 automatic braking features, there is also a lane departure warning, again using that front camera to detect the road lines on the road and notifying you when you start to veer off course if you're not paying attention. Now again, these are camera-based systems, so in bad weather or fog or very heavy rain, they may not work. However, I'll take them in a car any day over not having them at all. Now it's quite windy today, but this car does have frameless windows, and generally cars with frameless windows suffer from wind noise. But I have to say, it's better than I thought, and I wouldn't say it's great, I wouldn't say it's bad, but it's definitely okay, particularly considering how silent this vehicle is to start with. So wind noise is, I say, on the mild side, especially as I have a bit of speed here and again in windy conditions. We have seen worse on the channel, on cars with windows with normal frame. But I messed that up so bad. So as you can expect with that battery pack at the bottom of the vehicle, the car does feel a lot more glued to the surface of the road, especially when taking those turns, even if you do it at a bit of a high speed. So that's always nice from an electric car. I think I've barely used the brakes actually on this drive at all. You just set it into the one pedal mode and it's just so convenient. Alright, so we've made it to the northernmost part of the island, Chirikowa. There is a free solar charging station here, which we're going to give a go in this Mini. The idea is merely to check the charging experience, because don't think the car needs any charge yet. It can of course do over 200 kilometers WLTP, so we haven't covered that yet. So it'll take you a while to cover that in Malta, let me tell you that. And the idea is we see that 11 kilowatt charging speed. Alright, I'm parked. There was a puddle over there, so I decided to move over. Water, electricity, no, just joking. Shouldn't affect, but don't get my shoes wet anyway. So let's charge this thing. So I've just plugged in the car at the Chirikowa free charging station. This is solar powered, by the way. There are 4 bays here, all empty today. It is a bit of awkwardly placed charger. There's not much around here besides the ferry, so I don't exactly agree with its location, but here we are charging for free. And this is 11 kilowatts chargers on 3-phase. They actually reach 22, but in the case of this car, maximum is 11, which with this small battery is actually relatively fast. You can get a full charge on this supply in just 3 hours. Now what's also nice is this has a DC rapid charging option at 50 kilowatts, which can charge the car in around 30 minutes, which is fantastic for people who maybe have this car and want to rapid charge it once a week if they live in, say, an apartment and they don't have their own charging infrastructure. But if you have your own charging infrastructure, you can charge at home or at your place of work, or there are public chargers near your place of work, then you're going to be charging this car either at 11 kilowatts, which is what we're doing over here, or you can even consider charging it on a standard 3-pin socket, which I don't recommend for any other vehicle. But with the Mini, given the battery is so small, the charging time with a standard domestic socket on single phase, the slowest you can ever charge, is just 15 hours. And if you think about it, 15 hours is the time your car is going to spend parked in the garage from the time you arrive from work till the time you need it in the morning. And you're never actually going to be charging from 0 to 100. You're always going to charge a bit before anyway. So this is perhaps the only car I would recommend charging on that standard 3-pin socket if you don't want to invest in the faster charging infrastructure. Alright, so I just finished our little charging stop, and for me this has to be the coolest feature of the Mini. Just listen to it when you turn it on. Like, Houston, we have liftoff. I mean, every car should start like that. Alright, so we're gonna head back. Let's talk a bit about that regen. Now, we talked about it in the tech focused review, but of course here on the road is where you really get to try it out, right? There are 2 levels of regen, very nicely controlled from that regen switch, which we haven't seen yet on the channel. A very mild mode, which makes this car feel closer to its petrol counterpart than an electric vehicle. And of course a very strong, nearly 1-pedal driving mode actually, which in all honesty is the most comfortable I've tested so far. So we saw it on cars like the Leaf, we saw it on the Fiat 500e. Now the thing with 1-pedal driving is the car will will brake rather using the electric motor. However, there is a limit to that braking, and in fact the car will eventually apply the physical brakes to actually get the car to a complete halt. Now, what they've done very nicely in the Mini over here Just trying to get the indicators to stop. What they've done very nicely in the Mini over here is that transition to those physical brakes, very, very smooth. The other cars seem to chug a bit at the end when you really feel those physical brakes coming in. Not the case in this car. And what was nice about the one pedal driving, earlier on I was driving up a hill in very slow moving traffic. I mean, it wasn't a big incline to be fair, but the car was stopping and almost applying the handbrake because we were at an incline. So it's beautiful to see it working that way. Approaching the roundabout, not applying the brakes, regen in full strength. The car is decelerating nicely. I've timed it pretty well here. Didn't even have to use the brakes. And I can go. No brakes at all. So one pedal driving with the full regen strength of this Mini Cooper SE. And again, traffic lights, lift my leg, and the car comes to a complete stop. A bit early there, actually. There we go. Now, if you yourself drive a Mini Cooper SE, whether it is here in Malta or somewhere else in the world, I'd love to hear your comments in the comment section below as a long-term user of this vehicle. How is it going for you? Would you consider getting the next version of the Mini Cooper expected in around 2 years' time with a larger battery? Or are you happy with the range you are currently getting? As I said in the tech review, this car, they've taken a different path here than other EV makers. They've gone for a small battery, which of course limits your range. However, in a city-like environment, like is the case here in Malta, and if you're not intending to take this car on the motorway, then let me tell you, it really makes no difference what battery size you have. And that's my honest opinion after driving an electric car for 2 years. So we have to talk a bit about that real world efficiency, as I promised you in the tech-focused review. So today I have averaged on my drive 15.7 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, which is not bad. However, this is a demo car, so it's been around a bit. It actually has 20,000 kilometers on the clock, and the all-time average is actually it's lower than mine. It's 14.1 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, which means this car's claimed WLTP of 232 kilometers with an efficiency of 14.1 is just about missed. So that means that 14.1 efficiency, you'll get around 200 real-world kilometers on a full charge. However, again, this is a demo vehicle. Many people have driven it and probably driven it like me for a short period of time. So I would expect that to improve better than the 14.1. You will probably achieve WLTP here in Malta of 232 kilometers, especially if, unlike me, you're not going to keep it in sports mode. But that's actually pretty good. I'm very happy with that. 14.1, we've seen worse on smaller cars, which was a bit disappointing. But 14.1 on a Mini, I think is a good number to go by. So my closing thoughts here as we drive back. I think the Mini is the perfect car for anyone who's new to an electric vehicle. They want to get rid of their old petrol car because they're fed up of paying those high petrol prices. And then you're going to start paying much cheaper electricity rates to get this car running. I mean, as we said in the tech-focused review, a full charge on this Mini, a little over €4 for a whole week's worth of commute. Compare that to what you are spending on petrol, even here in Malta, where petrol is relatively cheap. I mean, this is a Mini. It stays true to what originally was, and in my opinion, improves by adding that battery and electric motor. You are more glued to the ground. You have the go-kart racing feel, and when you want to go, it goes. So as always, I'm Luke. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Check out the tech-focused review if you haven't already also. And as always, I hope I've convinced you that the future is electric.